joined CMA, CGM and Delmas, which is a French shipping line, container business as well. The vessel carriers and they own containers. I joined them as general manager. I worked there for 2 years, and then I joined Lafarge Holcim. I joined Lafarge Holcim in 2013. I was with Lafarge for 7 years, and during my stint at Lafarge, I held different roles. The last role I held was general manager for Binestore, which is the retail franchise network for Lafarge. And then I came into my current role as managing director for Unilever. I'm married to a loving husband. His name is Paul Chitengi, and we have 4 lovely children.
And I met him, and I think he's an absolute gentle giant.
Yes.
Awesome man. Now, you have had diversity. You've come from the World Bank, you've gone into Merck, then you came into the same line of business, if you like, and then you switched to Lafarge, and you're here. So your progress has been quite, would I say, diverse.
Yes.
Okay? But let's go back to the beginnings before we come to your work. I also like that, because I found out in quite a few women we have talked to, a lot of them went to convent schools, and you went to Fatima, and it was a convent school. And therefore your upbringing, values and all that probably were shaped from those. But from home, normally we would look at leadership development from home, and then to roles, people you observe, and then to yourself, the roles you're taking. So from home, what are the things you see in your upbringing that probably we can see pointers to where you are today? What was growing up in Ndola like?
Yes, so my formative years were in Ndola. I was raised by my father. He was a single father at the time, so he was a major influence in my life in terms of how he molded me and how he encouraged me and built confidence. And basically from a very young age, he was very clear that I could do anything that I put my mind to. So he's one of my early life role models. I then of course went into boarding school. At the time the family had moved to Lusaka from Ndola when I went into grade 8. I went into a great environment. I had a great time at Fatima. The way we were raised there was a lot of discipline, a lot of focus, a lot of ambition, and raised in a manner to take care of your future today. And I credit a lot of what I have as well to the team that molded me when I was in high school. My mother, of course, was also another influencing factor, another strong woman who, from a very early age as well, supported me, and the same message, repetitive message of you can be anything that you put your mind to. And I came from a family where education was a ticket to success. It was very clear from the onset that my parents were on a trajectory of you need to do well in school for you to be able to succeed. So that set me very early on in life to be very clear that I needed to do well in school for me to be able to succeed.
So was that different for, I'm sure you grew up with a lot of friends who were girls before grade 8 and even after grade 8. We can all be in the same place but not come out to be the same things. So I'm sure that not everybody probably has reason, to no fault of theirs. What are the values that you got? One of them you said is education is my ticket. And somebody is watching today and is saying, how do I become the first in something? What are the values you can remember that this part of your life put in you that became the foundation for you to grow to become who you are?
Yeah, so I have actually, I look at leadership as not only positional.
Absolutely.
And leadership is the ability to be able to influence positively. So I have quite a number of peers that are leaders in their own right.
Okay.
They're doing great in their own space, whatever it is that their path has led them to. But when I look at my own values and upbringing, I grew up in a Christian home. A very strong Christian background from my grandfather, who was a pastor in the Baptist church. So the Christian values have always been the foundation and base of my upbringing. And decency, kindness, hard work, sacrificing today for tomorrow are the values that I live and subscribe to even today. And representing myself in a light that is excellent. Learning, personal mastery has been key in my journey as a person and as a leader. Because as you can imagine, being female, it almost feels at some point in my career, it almost felt that I needed to work 10 times harder.
Yeah.
And to gain that confidence comes from working hard, from personal mastery, from understanding my work and making sure that I deliver at an excellent level in whatever space I am, bringing the A game to the table. And I've been fortunate that along the line, my hard work or what I've brought to the table has been recognized, and it's brought me to where I am.
So you believe in meritocracy, you believe that your work will speak, and your work has brought you to where you are, even with the benevolence and favor and all
Yes.
the goodwill from everybody around you.
Yes, certainly. So as they say, luck is opportunity meeting hard work. Luck for me as a Christian being God's providence, but I had to sit in readiness for that luck to
you
find
had to be ready to meet you.
Yes, and which I invested time in learning, invested time in at any point in my life making sure that I'm bringing the best that I can to the table.
Okay.
Yes.
And your family life. I did meet your husband, and a lot of people have said out there that when you meet a woman pursuing a career, particularly in corporate, she always needs to sacrifice this for that. And there's this stereotype thinking that because she's excelling in career, her family suffers. Has that been your experience?
It hasn't, actually. I've been fortunate enough. I always tell young ladies that the first career decision you make is the man you marry.
Awesome.
So I've been blessed to be married to Paul, who is very open-minded, has supported me in my career. As you can imagine, running a home, we have 4 children, and the children are young. And I have to say that I owe a lot to him and the way that he has supported me in always being my first chairperson, if I may use that word. Yeah. Always pushing me, encouraging me, giving me the freedom and room to excel. It's never an easy thing. I realize that work-life balance sometimes can be a myth, in the sense that at some point something will demand more of you at any given point, and it's about choosing priorities and doing the best that you can to make sure that both my personal life as a wife, as a mother, and as an employee, I'm balancing. It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act, and we go through different seasons.
Yes.
Yes.
So you needed to build in that area, and to succeed in that area, therefore, you needed a support structure. Your husband being your first cheerleader.
Yes.
If you're going to build, a girl is building a life, or somebody already there. What challenges have you faced? Climbing up. Probably then you just saw like, I want my next check and I want to be the next. I want to climb, I want to grow. probably at that time, I don't know, you tell us, did you see I'm going to be the MD, CEO of a multinational? Did you see yourself as the first? What are the challenges you have faced that you have kept with, or rather you have overcome, and you're now sitting on the seat where you're sitting, seeing further? What challenges does a woman face? You gave us one already. It's close to every woman in leadership tells you that the woman has to work twice as hard than the man to be recognized. What challenges have you faced? You said you've worked probably 10 times as hard. What did you face?
Well, it's been a journey, and you learn the ropes as you go along. One that comes to mind is that at certain cutting of points in my career, it felt that my male counterparts, when I was vying for any position, were promotable basis their potential.
Okay.
Whereas for me, as a female, as a woman, the deciding powers needed to be very sure that I can do the job.
You had to prove yourself.
Yes, I needed to be there 100% for them to feel I qualified for the job.
Okay.
Yes. And that set me on a journey to, as I keep referring to, personal mastery, to make sure that I understand my job and I can deliver excellently. And the other challenges, of course, are first is the balancing act. You wear all these multiple hats.
Yes.
You are competing or with colleagues who can focus when they're at work. I always laugh with my male colleagues that when I'm at work, I am working. I am a mother. I will get a phone call, something is happening at home. By the time it's getting to 5, I'm already planning dinner, whereas they can be in the office and be there.
Yes. But
with time, and I think this is how God gifted women as well, that multitasking is a skill that comes quite naturally to us. So you learn the ropes, you learn to put structures in place and resources that can then support you to get your home organized, to get your family organized, to get your work organized. So I must say that I have had a lot of men in my career as allies.
Brilliant.
Yes. So I wouldn't sit here and say that I haven't had the support from men. In fact, I've had a lot of support from men. I've had great men who've mentored me. I've worked under great women as well who also mentored me. I have stood on the shoulders of giants to be where I am today. And I think that for my generation, it's a great time to be a woman.
Awesome.
Because I think that everybody realizes that gender equity is a force for good.
Okay.
For everyone. And it has become mainstream.
Yes. It's
become mainstream. If I look at Unilever is one of those global champions for gender equity and a signatory to ensuring that 50% of the leadership positions are held by women. When we look at the business in Africa, we're already at 49.7% women in management positions. So it is a great time to be alive as a woman. There's still a lot of work to be done. Some strides have been made. The reality is that there's still a lot of work to be done. And myself as well, I given the privilege to be in a role where I can influence, that is something that is mainstream for me in the way that I lead. Okay. To make sure that others are able to go through the journey that I have. And so I do a lot of mentoring of women, with a lot of focus, women, young ladies, whether it be in my family space, whether it be mentor even just young ladies that I'm not related to or I'm not connected to in any way. Because I believe in gender equity. We cannot have 50% of the population not have a seat at the table.
Yes.
Yes. Then we're missing out on great quality contribution to key decisions.
It means that your organization has taken this position strategically because they've seen the benefits. Are other organizations in your space or in your experience? Unilever says it's meant to be 50-50 and they're working towards it, and they're at 47 point, close to 48%. 49.7, sorry.
Business, yes.
49.7. That means that if that company hadn't taken that direction, it may not have created room for a woman to come into that space.
Yes.
But that company saw the value,
yes,
that they need to create room and appreciate the women in their organization. What do we need to do in Zambia for more organizations to be more responsive and responsible to follow that?
I think that organizations need to make this deliberate. However, I believe in meritocracy, as we started. There are a lot of capable women, and organizations need to be deliberate about realizing that for the growth and sustainability of the organizations, it is key that they have women at their table, and therefore make it deliberate to seek out women that are capable to be able to take these positions.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have this year, UN Women, the world has taken a position, women in leadership, attaining equality in a COVID-19 world. You have just shown us the uniqueness of a woman, the difference in a woman and a man, because that woman is sitting in the office, but she's a mother. She's thinking, is my child being picked from school? Is my child at home? I have 4 of them. What's going on? But she has to work. And she has to think at 5 o'clock, she's thinking dinner. And she has to go home and be the mother. And she's still a daughter to somebody, and a friend to someone, and a mentor to somebody. Do we bear in mind the unique challenges a woman faces, which is not necessarily saying, because she's a woman, this, you believe in merit. But do we in the corporate space bear in mind that women face certain things, therefore, particularly in the COVID world, we need to adapt or create a playing field where she can have her best to attain that work-life harmony? Does that work?
Well, I can only speak for where I am working, and they're doing a great job at that. First of all, one of the things I can say is that we've been working from home since March last year.
Okay.
And the business has been very clear about the well-being of our people being our priority. Without our people, we don't have a business.
Okay.
So that in itself took cognizance of the risks during COVID of being in the office and the balancing act. And so for somebody like myself, who's a mother, it works
Yes.
to be home. I can work, and then I can also take care of my family. Like I said, I think it's a great time to be a woman. I see that gender equity, gender consideration is very much a mainstream. Before, when I was younger, gender was discussed by organizations.
Okay.
There were sport organizations that were taking gender on. Now gender has embedded as mainstream,
inside organizations.
And I know already we have laws that are supporting women for maternity leave. Today we have 21 days paternity leave.
Yes.
To be able to
support.
To be able to support the women, and that is a woman can take 120 days maternity leave, paid leave. So we are making progress. Whether are we there yet? We're certainly not.
Okay.
And what I find that we still have a lot of unconscious bias that is still happening, where certain decisions are made and unconsciously, and certain structures and processes are in place, perhaps without much consideration of how this will affect the women. But where will change come from? Change will come from ourselves as women, and change will come from the men who are allies. We cannot
So we need both.
Yes.
You need allies,
Yes.
And you need women to stand
Yes.
up and make change happen.
Yes, women cannot do this on their own. And gender equality for women does not mean disadvantaging men.
Absolutely.
It's the ability for both men and women to come to the table and be able to shape businesses, shape society positively.
Appreciating each other.
Appreciating each other and what the different quality strengths that we bring to the table.
Okay.
And to achieve this, men have to be allies in this process. They cannot be left behind.
Okay.
And they are our biggest allies. And I personally am seeing the change. We have a women's network at Unilever that looks at diversity and inclusion. And we have a men's ally group. And we have men attending these initiatives and being at the focal point of driving change. And for me, that is what I would like to see more going forward, as opposed to seeing feminism as some kind of dirty word, which is the women are pushing this agenda.
Yes.
We need to have synergies. We need to have the men have wives, have sisters, have daughters. So they want the best
without their mothers.
Yes. So they want the best for the female acts in their lives as well. And so the future is
in collaboration,
in
and partnership.
Yes.
That is so true, and I really appreciate this. But when I listen to you, what I'm hearing is, I heard this also when we interviewed Loani Chiwesa-Kunde from Citibank, and she says in their organization, they have city women, they meet, they interact, which is what you just alluded to. Shouldn't we be borrowing, and it shouldn't just be the international companies, the multinational companies, should we not be learning best practices from people like your organization? And shouldn't women be coming together and men coming together to understand in the workplace and work together? What do you think? Shouldn't there be some activism in getting this to become best practice for everybody?
Yes, certainly there should be. Like I mentioned in Unilever, it's actually both the men and the women. So there's a women's network which has quite some representation from the men who are the allies, and they're involved in the mainstream activities. And yes, certainly this is something that should be best practice across. Okay. And I am hoping that it's happening in other organizations as well, and other spheres.
One thing you've alluded to is meritocracy. You believe in merit. Don't give me something because I'm a woman, give me something because I've earned it. If you look at your background coming up, which is what I tried to bring up, but I loved the mindset and the openness you have, appreciating that leadership is not a position and everybody has done well in their space. So I really wish I was your friend, because that just tells me the kind of person you are as a friend. Appreciating everybody and not being humble. That's a lot of humility you expressed and you espoused there. Do you feel your background gave you an advantage? Would a woman say it's because she grew up in this kind of background, that's why she's advantaged? Or is it that I worked hard to get where I am? Meritocracy or privilege? What do you think?
I think it's a combination. Okay. We're a product of nature and nurture. And I think that a lot of factors came together at play to make who I am.
Again, that's a lot of humility.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
So I would not credit where I am today to simply because I personally worked hard. Yes, there's been, it takes a village to raise a person. So it is the way I was nurtured, the way I grew up. It is the other giants that have supported me, who've done this before me. It is being a person of faith. Like I say, it is providence, meeting, preparedness, and
opportunity.
Yes, and opportunity. So I would not attribute it to one factor.
Okay.
Yes.
So providence opened the door, but you went through the door and stayed in the door, stayed in the room.
Yes.
If that person is watching you today and saying, wow, such a woman, what would you look back and say, this is your roadmap? Pay attention to these things. If you kept with this, they will take you somewhere. Looking at your life, what is that, those things? I can pick out your faith, I can pick out your hard work, I can pick out humility. I see a lot of humility in your discussion. What would you say, as a woman, juggling the different responsibilities and challenges, what would you say would be the pillars?
So adding to the pillars you've already mentioned, I will then add purpose, excellence, and integrity. Okay. Integrity is something that I feel very passionate and strongly about in terms of delivering on my promise and being ethical and staying true to the values that I subscribe to. And that will always carry you. That will always carry you. Shortcuts never led anyone to anywhere. Yeah. So integrity is key for me. Purpose is I'm at a level in my life through my journey where I see things beyond the job, the transactional that I do. How am I adding value in everything that I'm doing? Another hat I wear is that I'm a Pan-Africanist. Awesome. And I believe in bringing African excellence and talent to the fore. And I believe that everything rises and falls on leadership. So if we start nurturing Africans to be a force for good from a very young age in their life, to be able to be change makers, I believe in transformational leadership. I believe in servant leadership. So for me, I go to work every day with a purpose that I am serving Africa. I am serving Zambia. I'm bringing my contribution to the table in moving our country and our continent forward. If I run a successful business, that contributes to economic development, that contributes to taxes for our country, that reduces poverty. So I have a bigger purpose for why. My why is bigger than me getting up and going into the office and getting a paycheck at the end of the day. So that is what drives me. I believe in excellence, in that whatever I do, I want to leave a good legacy, that I have done a good job. I want my team to be on the same page, and therefore I carry my team with me. As you know, in leadership, you deliver through your teams. Yeah. So, and you haven't led if you haven't carried people with you and developed people. Yeah. Yeah, and develop people to the next level. So yes, in a nutshell, purpose is a key drive for what I do. Yeah. Okay,
you talked about, while you spoke, in my mind I said this is a lot of servant leadership, and I'm happy that you have crystallized it to servant and transformational leadership. I believe every woman is a servant transformational leader. That's what I believe. And you have alluded to that is your style, your implicit style of leadership. Would you, without being academic, your talk alone told me who you were until you defined it. Without being academic, for the person watching, what is servant transformational leadership? And how does it fit into being a woman? Naturally, nature, nurture.
Yes.
Explain it to us.
So the way I can explain that is that it's being a force for good, positively influencing your environment at every level. We wear the many hats. You're a sister, you're a friend, you're a mother, you're a wife, as a role model, and most people around us learn from what you do. So it's about having the integrity to walk the talk. It's about speaking to people and having discussions around what key factors will drive change. We are on the back foot as a continent, and that is something that we must admit. And I believe the power to change and make positive, meaningful change lies with us. The decisions we make, the actions we make. When I talk about servant leadership, is my style is I lead from the front. I will not ask my team to do something that I won't do.
You won't do.
Yes, and I believe in leadership as a leader. I'm not a boss. I am a servant. I'm there to serve. I'm there to serve in different capacities. How can I be of service? How can I help you? How can I help move to the next level? Okay. What do you need from me to hold your hand to make sure that we bring the best out of you? And that can be at a micro level if you look at it. But I believe the same qualities and the same way of doing it is what needs to be happening even at a bigger scale.
Okay.
And putting others before self is very key for me when it comes to being a servant leader. I'm being put in a position of privilege, and therefore it calls on more responsibility in terms of how do I help others that are coming behind me. I don't want to sound like I'm great. I'm not great. I'm not great in any way great. I'm still on the journey myself.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
There are people who've done greater things.
Yeah.
But there are people in my own sphere of influence that I can help to move to where they want to be, and to share some of my own experiences, to share some of my own skills that have led me to where I am, and be a role model and be a mentor.
I think that's what you're doing now, and I thank you for your doing it very well, in my opinion. Leadership to you, therefore, is responsibility. That is what you have said to us throughout tonight, because you are saying at every level to which you come, you are mindful that it's a privilege to be where you are, and how can you serve the people around you. How do we amplify that in every woman to go up to excel? Because what it does is that it pushes you to excel and create room for other people to come into that space. You said I'm not a star, I'm not a superstar, I'm not better than anybody else. That's a lot of humility, and it comes with knowing that it's not because I'm the best, blah blah blah, that's why I'm here. Therefore I have to live up to this and leave this place better than I am. How do we get this get out to more and more women? What do you think we need to do?
We need to talk about it. We need to keep talking about it. We need to nurture people in that direction. I believe that leaders are made. Everybody has it in them to be a leader, because leadership is basically influence. So everybody has the capacity to influence positively. Yeah. And so therefore we need to be talking about it. We need to be putting women in situations that allow them to lead. We need to be nurturing confidence, because for people to raise their hand up and step up in leadership in whatever situation, whether be it in the home, be it in the community, comes with a certain self-belief and confidence that you have something to contribute. Okay. Yeah. So, and this is not something that we are going to drive by doing it at the work level. That is just another step. It has to start from the home at a very young age. And that is how we drive this. At every cardinal stage in women's lives, we must keep singing this song. We are leaders, we are born leaders, we are capable, and we just need to build and harness skills that make it easier and better for us to be able to take on the reins and take on those leadership positions. Again, I want to emphasize that for me it's very important to realize that leadership is not just positional. Absolutely. And so when I'm talking about leadership, I'm talking about leadership wherever you are and wherever you can be a force for good and influence for positive change. Okay. Yes. Because we are looking at the woman, basically, and it's so good that you have
emphasize that over 3 times in our discussion, because most people traditionally think leadership is a position and is the person at the top of the ladder. But the woman there leading the family, taking care of the children, raising the future in the children, is a leader. The woman selling futumbo on the road, influencing 100 customers every day, she's a leader. So at every level, there's leadership. And that's a message you're giving out to us.
That is the message.
So nobody should look down on themselves.
No. And the consolidated effort of all these leaders in the different spheres is what will create positive societal change.
You have gone to talk about personal mastery severally, as we have spoken. Why is that so important to you? And what is personal mastery? Why is that so important to you? What inspired you into that personal mastery space?
So I want to be the best of myself at any given point. And people draw confidence from different things. And I draw confidence to a lot of things that I do by learning more on how I can deliver better. And it's been a source of confidence for me to learn to be practical. How does a business work? How does a business run? What do I need to be looking out for? What risk areas are in my business? How do I grow the top line? How do I motivate the team? If I have to bring it home to what I do on a daily basis. And investing time in learning from others who've done it well. I draw confidence from that. Investing in having the right team who bring certain strengths that I don't have. And the combination of that is where it happens. So I suppose I allude to it a lot because for me it's a source of confidence when I invest time in learning so that I can bring the best of myself to what I do.
So if we add to your pillars, learning is one of them.
Yes.
Continuous learning, lifelong learning.
Yes.
And you enjoy learning. The key words you've used for us is how. Yes. How do I build my team? How do I build those reporting to me? How do I... So if we keep asking the hows, we will be going deeper into knowing the what's to do.
Yes. And I always say that if somebody asks me what my superpower is, curiosity is my superpower. I have a curious mind and I am always asking questions. How can we do this better? Why does this happen this way? And in fact, when I look back, it used to be a negative thing on my report when I was younger. My parents would get a report form that says asks too many questions.
Okay. So
but now I've realized that it's actually a superpower, and it's one of the factors that helps in my learning. I always want to know why things work that way. Can we do them better?
Yeah.
So that curiosity for me has served me as a...
I want to ask you a question, Sarita. You have now come to the top of this pile, this ladder. It's not the top of, because you said it's about purpose. It's not about attainment, reaching a place. Not many people have come there. Just by knowing that you are the first female Zambian to reach the top of this ladder, that alone tells you, since 57 years, people have been climbing and we've not got here. What does it look like at the top? Do you think, if somebody wanted to get here and they say, what's it like? Because you see the perks, you see the privilege, you see all that, and they want to travel, they want to this, they want to wear this, they want to drive this. In reality, what is it like being at the top? Is it something so attractive, everybody wants to be there? Or is it something when you get there, you say, am I crazy? What am I doing here?
Yeah, so what does it look like at the top? It's responsibility for me. It's being aware of the risks that it comes with. It's responsibility, which means to whom much is given, much is expected. So the ability to be able to influence, I think that is the key thing for me, that being in a certain position gives me is that I have the ability to influence a wider scope.
Let me ask it in a different way.
Yes.
What price did you pay to get here, and what price are you paying to stay on top? That most people not on top don't see.
Yes.
But they want the... Jesus said, you're a faith person, you told us that. Jesus says, to sit on my right and my left, can you drink the cup?
Yes.
That means you see the seat, but do you know the cup? And
Yes.
can you drink it? What's your typical day like? When do you wake up, when you go to bed? Some people wake up, they go to bed 9 to 5, 8 hours, they're gone to bed, 2 hours of break,
Yes.
2 hours of commuting. Is that how easy it is? What price have you paid to get up and stay there?
Yes. So there's always a price for everything. I wake up at 5 and I'm rarely in bed before midnight. So the price I've had...
Are you watching all the soapies, all the favorite...
No, certainly not. Certainly not. It's a lot of work. So the price I've had to pay is that at any given point and different seasons in my life, something suffers. And
explain that, please.
So there are times when my work demands more of me, and it means taking time away from my family.
So leadership is sacrifice.
Yes. So leadership is sacrifice. So I at different times of my life, something is suffering. Whether I'm feeling I'm not spending enough time with my children and I need to make up, or not spending enough time with my husband and I need to make up. And it's meant that I need to be very good at planning and ensure that all my interactions are quality interactions. It means that I don't do a lot of fun things that others can easily get up and do, because my schedule doesn't allow for it. If I'm at the office, when I get any free time, I need to make sure that my other departments of my life or ministries are not suffering. Yeah. So yes. So there's the sacrifice that comes with this.
So sacrifice and a lot of organization.
A lot of organization.
Prioritization. What is important to me? Who is important to me? What relationships are important to me?
Yes.
So if I'm going to stay up there, I can't carry a lot of excess luggage.
No. So focus and prioritization is key.
Okay.
Yes.
So you know how to prioritize, you know how to posteriorize, push things that you don't need to the back.
Yes.
If you eventually get time, you do it, but only what is priority stays with you.
Yes.
And even the higher you go, the more you prioritize.
Certainly. And also it's improved, harnessed my skills to create very strong structures around me.
Awesome. Even
in the way in which I assemble my teams. You need to have a very strong team, both in the home, at work, and all around, because you can't do it on your own.
Awesome.
Yes.
So a leader, therefore, you said that earlier, a leader does not do the job. The leader works through people to get the job done.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? Because a lot of us don't seem to have skills to build relationships and to grow those relationships to get to where we want to go. Has that helped you? That ability, has that helped? Does that work for you?
Yes, certainly. Building relationships. Business is relationships. So it's either you're building relationships with the different stakeholders, your customers externally and internally. The different stakeholders in the value chain, and it requires not to just build any relationships, but mutually beneficial relationships, trusting relationships. And so it requires a certain skill in terms of how to get the best out of your team, and I believe trust is a key component of creating highly effective and collaborative teams. And in my own experience, where does trust come from? It comes from leading with a human face.
Okay.
Yeah. You must go out to touch people's hearts before you ask for their hand.
Okay. There
has to be that human.
You have been a very good student of John Maxwell as well, so you read a lot.
Yes, I do.
Because unknown to you,
yes,
you've been giving me chapters in his book.
Oh, really?
Unknown to you, absolutely. Yes.
Yes. So I believe in building mutually beneficial, trusting relationships with my support structure, be it the team at work, be it the people that support me in my personal life. It's the only way you can get it done. There's a lot and much to be done, and you're only one individual.
Yes.
So the ability to be able to work through others is key for leadership.
It's key for leadership.
Yes.
As we wrap this up, one thing you said that I feel is important in everybody's leadership. I say leadership is character, and I've come to learn it over the years. And not learning by reading, but learning by living it, and learning it to live it. For a woman that is a leader, and leadership at every level, how important is, first of all, what is integrity? Because most times, if a woman attains a certain place, you see somebody from somewhere with this stereotype saying, oh, somebody gave her that, she slept her way to be there. But you are saying to us, it is one of your most important pillars. What is important integrity to you? Defining it in your own words, and why is it important to a woman's leadership?
And I think integrity is one of those words that is very difficult to define, and at some point becomes even personal. And it normally, what I have seen in my own view, it stems from the values that one carries. So integrity for me is delivering on my promise. Integrity for me is being ethical. Integrity for me is doing unto others what I would like done unto me, the golden rule. Integrity for me is being upright. And not doing what I would categorize as not one of my values. And when I say that, I don't want to say there's one universal umbrella. It really does stem from your values. And for me personally, the values I aspire to, the values I live with as a Christian.
What are some of your values? Maybe share with us some of those values.
To coin it, I'm a Christian.
Yes.
So the values of Christ on how we must live.
We have many shades of Christian today.
Yes.
So
you're putting me on the spot.
If you just say Christian, a lot of people nowadays. I'm a pastor.
Yes.
Okay. And I've been through ups and downs to come to the place where I've appreciated that leadership is character.
Yes.
And integrity for me is huge. And I like the way you've gone saying integrity is living by your values.
Yes.
And not going against your values. I think that is big.
Yes.
Therefore, what are these values? Because if you ask anybody Christian today, some people switch off once you say Christian, because they have seen too many shades of what Christian is. And they don't want Christian sometimes. Because they say, if this is Christian, I don't want it. So what are these values? I'm thinking you are talking about the ideal because you went back to Christ. So you are saying there are certain ideals I distill from Christ. And this is what it is for me. These are the values I espouse and I live by. So what are these values that somebody should say, I want? Today, integrity, Christian, maybe I have a papa somewhere. What are your values?
So my values very much come down to love your neighbors, you love yourself. So if I have to go back to my purpose of being a force for good, and how am I living in my own community with the people I interact with? When they encounter me, do they leave feeling good? Do they experience me as somebody who's trying to drive justice, fairness, who's trying to lend a hand to the weaker person?
So that moment of truth, what do they take away when they meet with me?
What do they take away from me? Do they get a positive energy? Do they see me as, this sounds vague, but as a good human being who wants the best for others, who wants the same good things that I want, that others should experience the same, who is going out of her way in my own small way to make a difference and help others to experience life here on earth in a good way? It's not an easy question to
I appreciate
answer,
that.
but in short, I want people to experience me as a force for good, as somebody who is kind, as somebody who is driving for meaningful, positive change. And I strongly believe that we were created to have a certain experience, a certain positive experience here on earth.
Yeah.
And therefore, how do I, in my own little way, in that puzzle, strive to contribute to that for the next person to me?
So your values, therefore, are your guiding principles to deliver these outcomes, because what you've described to me are outcomes.
Yes.
The way, the takeaways
Yes.
when they interact with you. So everything that helps you produce that for another person
Yes.
is what you live by.
Yes, and I want to walk the talk.
Walking your talk.
Yes,
Keeping your word.
Keeping my word.
Okay.
Yes.
So those are values. How important is that for a woman's leadership? Integrity.
Integrity is key, because without it you can't build credibility. And a leader without credibility, people have to believe in you to believe your vision. Visions and strategies can change.
Yeah.
But if people believe in you, it's much easier to then achieve.
Okay.
And for you to have credibility, you need integrity.
So you must be trustworthy before
Yes.
they trust you.
Yes.
So you must have integrity
Yes.
before they believe in you.
Yes.
Okay. And it has to be consistent. Strategies change, times change, but character can change.
Yes.
Integrity has to be
That
consistent.
is the anchor. That has
That's
to be
the anchor.
consistent, and that is unchanging.
So it has been so enriching talking to you. And I really do wish we could have gone on and on. But unfortunately, time controls, and your time is very precious to you because we're stealing from your time now. But then you're doing good to somebody else. We want to thank you for having us in your home, such a beautiful home. I want to thank your husband, Paul, for giving you, this is your family time we have come into. So we thank both of you. You have talked to us about your leadership. You have talked to us about the part your father played in your leadership by making you believe you can be everything, and emphasize that education was your ticket. So that was your paramount. You talked to us about your values, and these values, you said, came from the colleagues from Fatima, and they made a difference in your life. Your mom played an important role in shaping you also to believe. You have talked about the very wonderful people that have helped you on the journey, both male and female. And the male have been very good champions for you. And allies, the word you used was allies. We really appreciate what Unilever, although it has been the last part of your leading, starting all the way down and from the World Bank where you started. You have learnt a lot, and they have created room for women. And we feel other people should create room. Not because they're women, but because they have abilities. You said to us, we have capable women.
Yes.
It is just for opportunity to meet preparation, and it will happen. But if the people that make opportunities don't make for women, then we lose.
Yes.
Not using women. And at the end of it, basically, your humanity has come out more for us than everything else. Your love for people, your wanting to serve people has informed you being a servant transformational leader. We know this is the beginning, because when you've come to the top, you can see so much further. So I know that there are many beginnings to come in your life, and we hope that you will continue to share your experience with the Zambian woman and the Zambian girl in particular that would like to get to the top. Thank you for paying the price, and thank you for remaining consistent and having integrity. We would like you to wrap up with that Zambian woman watching. What is the last thing you're saying to that young girl that says, oh, she blew my, she touched my heart, I want to be like her? What is that thing you are saying to that girl, that woman that is mid-management and wants to come to the top, as we wrap it up?
Yeah. So I'm saying to that young woman, young lady, that you have everything that it takes to rise to leadership. And I'm saying to that woman that leadership starts where we are, We're leaders in everything that we're doing on a daily basis. Leadership is not just positional. Invest time in learning, invest time in nurturing relationships, and invest time in self-belief, and making sure that you surround yourself with those people that can help you on that leadership journey.
We want to thank you so much. We thank you for having been with us within this hour to talk to Sarita Mlogoti Chitengi. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
We celebrate you as one of our leading women in Zambia. You have represented Zambia on this platform, and we believe that you're going to represent Zambia on higher platforms. So as you continue your leadership journey, we wish you all the best. And thank you again for being part of Scars to Stars.
Thank you very much for having me.
Viewers, we'll say good night. Tomorrow we'll bring you another person. We're believing that very soon we will have Sarita pass the baton to somebody else, and we will see her hopefully one more time telling us how to go further. But for you, please be with us tomorrow at the same time on CBC Television, Lead Africa Women Institute, bringing you 31 leading women, and you wonder who's the next one. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Good night.